Keloğlan and the Dwarfs. Once upon a time there lived a poor widow woman. She had a son named Keloğlan. One day Keloğlan's mother called him and made him sit beside her. She then said to him, "Oh, my son, for a long time I wanted to see your marriage, but as you know, a marriage needs money and we don't have any." Keloğlan thought about this for a while and told his mother, "Dear mother, don't worry so much. I will leave now and go to another town to earn money." The next morning he kissed his mother's hand and left home. By the way, Keloğlan had a best friend named Mesut. They used to look after sheep together. Keloğlan took his friend Mesut with him. They walked a long way, and when they felt tired and hungry, they sat under a tree on the bank of a stream to rest. His friend Mesut said, "Look, Keloğlan, we have a long way to get to the town. There are no differences between us, for we are like brothers. Let's not eat everything we brought. First, we'll eat yours, and then we can eat mine." Keloğlan thought about this suggestion for a short time, scratching his bald head. Then he agreed to eat. In fact, even though Mesut was Keloğlan's friend, he was very jealous of Keloğlan. They ate everything that Keloğlan had brought, and then they went to sleep. They continued their journey from dawn to sunset. They felt hungry again. This time Keloğlan said to Mesut, "Come on, brother Mesut, we finished all of my food. Now it is your turn. Bring your food and let's eat it." At first Mesut ignored what Keloğlan had said. Later he said, "I can't share my food with you. I don't want to die from hunger here. Let me go. You can take care of yourself." Then packing his bag he left Keloğlan. Keloğlan was very disappointed with this situation. He thought about what to do for a long time. At last he decided to look for the nearest village, and after a tiresome journey he reached a deserted place. It used to be a Turkish bath. But when all the water had been used up, people had deserted the place. When it got dark, he found shelter in a calm corner of the bath and slept there. But in the middle of the night, he heard some strange sounds like thunder. Drums were beating and everywhere was shaking. Tables had been set in the middle of the bath, and in a corner, huge cauldrons were boiling water. A lot of dwarfs with tall hats and black belts were cooking. Some of them were carrying water and food, and some of them were preparing the tables. Later, when the dwarfs got tired of eating and playing, they sat chatting and drinking coffee. One by one they began telling stories from what they had heard and what they had seen and read. When the oldest one amongst them had his turn to speak, he said, "Listen to me. My curiosity is about secret treasures. I have looked for and found the hiding places of all the secret treasures in the country. The nearest treasure is under a tree on the mountain behind us. The treasure is in a huge earthenware jar which is full of gold, diamonds, and emeralds." He described the place of the tree, the mountain, the rock, and the jar quite clearly. Meanwhile, Keloğlan was both listening to them and shivering all over. Before sunrise, all the dwarfs disappeared, and Keloğlan got out of the place where he was hiding. Next, he climbed up the mountain behind the bath, and found a tree and the rock in their correct places, just as the oldest dwarf had described. He lifted up the rock with the help of a stick, and under it he found the large earthenware jar full of treasure. Then he loaded all the treasure into his bag and set out for his village. Meanwhile, Bad Mesut had arrived in a city. He found work there and he started to drink and gamble. In the end, nobody would give him a job, so he had to leave the city and return to his village. When he arrived at his village, he heard the sounds of drums. He became curious and asked a peasant, "Whose wedding is it?" The man replied, "Keloğlan's wedding with the daughter of Ağa." Then Bad Mesud walked towards the wedding house. He looked inside the rooms and found Keloğlan. Mesud was dressed in casual clothes, so Keloğlan nearly didn't recognize him. He apologized to Keloğlan for what he had done, and the two old friends sat down in a corner. Keloğlan told Mesud everything he had experienced. Furthermore, he described the place of the bath very well. Bad-hearted Mesud ate and drank a lot and listened to Keloğlan carefully. The next morning he set out for the bath. Finding the bath, he hid in a corner and waited. In the middle of the night, noise suddenly started. Drums began beating and pipes began playing. The sounds echoed off the walls and the bath shook. There were tables full of food in the middle of the bath, and in a corner the cauldrons were boiling. A lot of dwarves with tall hats and black belts were going here and there. The dwarves who got tired of eating and playing were chatting and drinking coffee. In turns, they were telling stories from what they had heard, read, and seen. The oldest one among them began to speak. "Listen to me carefully," he said. "There are some thieves who stole the treasure that I told you about a while ago. A cunning person has learned the place of our treasure. It is clear that he had listened to us and learned everything. Before we lose all our treasures, we must take measures to stop him." Another dwarf cried out, "Let's do something! Let's find out who it was and catch the thieves who learned our secret." Thereupon all of the dwarves lit their torches and began to look around. Hearing all of this, Mesud was about to faint from fear. He wanted to run away, but he couldn't get to his feet. The dwarves found Mesud where he was hiding, and they beat him very badly. While Bad Mesud was suffering for his bad actions, kind-hearted Keloğlan was having a good time together with his wife and mother in their village. Their good news and presents came to me. He also sent you his greetings.